This meeting.
We're live.
All right, thanks. This is the March 11th, 2020 meeting of the North Bennington Graded School Prudential Committee. And we should introduce ourselves because we have a new member. And we'll start with me. I'm Ray Molyneux. I'm chair of the board until we elect a new chair.
Kim Kroll, board member.
Karen McNamara, board member.
And Mary Rogers, treasurer.
Lori Elwell, clerk.
Matthew Patterson, vice chair.
Thank you. Where's the... So, we need to reorganize, and the first order of business there is that Kiernan and I, who are newly re-elected, have to swear the oath of office.
So Karen, I'm going to give you the Vermont Oath of Allegiance, so if you could repeat after me. I, Karen McNamara, do solemnly swear
I, Karen McNamara, do solemnly swear
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
and that I will not directly or indirectly do any act or thing injurious to the Constitution of government thereof.
do any act or thing injurious to the Constitution of government.
And I'm going to date this the 11th day of March 2020, and I'll have you sign at the end.
Okay.
And this is the oath of office. I, Karen McNamara, do solemnly swear
I, Karen McNamara, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee member
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee member
for the state of Vermont,
for the state of Vermont,
and will therein do equal right and justice to all persons,
and wherein will do equal right and justice to all persons,
to the best of my judgment and ability, according to law.
to the best of my judgment and ability, according to law.
And I will date, I will sign this and date it the 11th day of March 2020. I'll give you a copy somewhere too. Okay, Ray, Vermont Oath of Allegiance.
Yes.
I, Raymond Molyneux, do solemnly swear
I, Raymond Molyneux, do solemnly swear
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont,
that I will be true and faithful to the state of Vermont.
and that I will not directly or indirectly
I will not directly or indirectly
do any act or thing injurious to the Constitution or government thereof.
do anything injurious to the Constitution or government thereof.
And I will date this the 11th day of March 2020, and I'll have you sign it soon. And the oath of office. I, Raymond Molyneux, do solemnly swear
I, Raymond Molyneux, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee member
I will faithfully execute the office of Prudential Committee member
for the state of Vermont,
for the state of Vermont,
and will therein do equal right and justice to all persons,
and will therein do equal right and justice to all persons,
to the best of my judgment and ability, according to law.
to the best of my judgment and ability according to law.
And I will date this the 11th day of March 2020, and I'll ask you to sign it.
Okay.
Just below my name there.
Just on this one?
Uh,
Right here.
yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. Just under my name the second time. There's not a line.
Right there. Right there.
That's it.
That's it.
And I'll make, those are just copies. Thank you.
Thank you. need you to start off the election of officers.
Do we have a nomination for chair of the Prudential Committee?
I nominate Ray Molyneux as chair.
I'll second that.
Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Clerk will cast one ballot for Ray Molyneux for chair. Would you like to
You
take
can
over from
continue.
here?
No, you can continue.
You're doing
Do I have any nominations for vice chair of the Prudential Committee?
I elect Matthew Patterson.
Are there any further nominations?
I'll second the nomination.
Okay. Are there any further nominations for vice chair of the Prudential Committee?
No.
Hearing
Seeing
no
none.
further nominations, I'll cast one ballot for Matthew.
Thank you.
Board secretary. Don't hear any nominations for board secretary. That was currently held by Tim Schrader.
Well,
I'll nominate Kim. There's much to it.
usually, yes. Once a year, there's, twice a year, minutes.
Would anyone like to second that?
I would certainly say.
Okay. Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, I will cast one ballot for Kim Cross. Policy Committee. No, I'm sorry, that's the SVSU Board Representative and Alternate.
Yeah.
Are there
I'll
any
nominate Ray
nominations
for
for?
board representative.
I'll second that.
Okay, and any further nominations? I'll cast one ballot for Ray. Any nominations for the alternate to the SVSU Board Representative?
It's a matter of who can be there on Wednesday. Is it Wednesdays?
Wednesday's the last,
Yeah.
fourth Wednesday of the month.
There are times I can be.
I mean, I'm sure.
But is it at 6?
7.
7.
I can still. No, I haven't been there.
Well, we'll nominate
About the
Matt
process.
Patterson to be the alternate.
All right, I'll second that.
Great, hearing no other nominations, I'll cast one ballot for Matthew Patterson.
Committees.
You're appointing to committees.
Yep.
Would you like to do that, Ray? You want me to?
No, I'll do this. I'll
All
do
right.
number 2 appointments. So, policy, Maria apparently would like to continue, but at the moment we need someone to fill in. So on an interim basis, I would nominate Kim to do that. She's suggested it herself, so.
Yeah, so
I'm
it's
sure
just an
she's
interim,
accepting
because
that.
Maria would like to continue on the policy committee, but I was just
Right.
covering her absence.
Right, so I think what we need to do, because we need to rename Maria, but then name Kim as her interim
So I will
standing.
nominate Maria for the policy committee. And you could be either interim or an alternate, which will be filling with
And we'll have an alternate. Why don't we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, just listen.
So Maria as the member and Kim as the alternate.
I made that nomination. Do we have to make second?
We don't really have to second it, we can just agree that that's what we want to do. We're all in agreement with it. Okay. Personnel and budget. I think I'm likely the only one who can do that right now.
Yeah, I nominate you for such.
And I second.
Is there another committee that we have to fill out?
The SVSU committee?
No, that was, these are,
yeah.
were the
Oh, okay,
committees
so
already.
policy and then
Yeah.
just those two.
Yep.
Okay. There's nothing else we should nominate someone for, Jim?
No,
Sorry.
no.
So we need to authorize the chair, vice chair, and the secretary of the board, actually, to sign in the absence of a meeting and the absence of the officer higher on the list, in the case of the vice chair and the secretary.
Just to conduct any duties that
To-
might be needed, whether
yeah.
it's
Right.
special budget meetings with the school.
I'm going to say that this extends beyond warrants and off months, you know, in months that we don't have a meeting. I'm going to say that this is actually for, although we don't, this is not our habit at this board, like if we do the tuition agreement, we talk about it, we pass it, and then we authorize the board chair to sign it. Those sorts of agreements, but in case there's a need for something else, we'll include that as well. The authority to sign agreements that have been accepted by the board members. I'm not going to sign anything that hasn't been discussed. So that would be myself first, Matt, and Karen. No, Kim, you took up the secretary, so you'd be the sign. Okay, so is everybody in, is there consensus on that?
Yes.
All right. Board schedule for the succeeding year. Well, that's discussion of our meeting schedule. Typically, we haven't met in July. Typically, in January, we've had at least two and probably a third brief meeting to work on and pass and sign the warning for the annual meeting. And generally, we could take February off in addition, if we wanted to.
If you finish your budget.
Yeah, if we finished our budget. There really is not much to do at that point, so. What about anybody else's thoughts on how often we meet? I mean, we don't have a huge amount of business, but we will have. Do we have to sign the papers for the line of credit? When do you get
That
that
is
done?
July, is June.
June. Okay. So we have to have one in June.
But sometimes that's later than the meeting date. Like
We
do it
usually
late.
do a separate, quick
Yeah.
meeting to sign that.
Okay.
We talk about it and then,
Then we just do a continued
Yes.
meeting.
yes.
Yes. Okay. But no meeting in July. And I think it's probably wise to have a brief meeting in August to approve the warrant from the previous month that I've already signed, or someone's already signed, to do the warrant for August, because those are important to the village school. And then we have to have one in September, because the first other independent school warrants come in, and the first one of the Southwest Unified Education School District students. Could we take a month off? October, November?
I think you've done that in the past.
I mean, all you have to do then is look at the census numbers and think
Right.
about the stuff.
October, we probably should look at the census numbers, but November, we could probably
certainly
Skip.
don't have any information from the state at that point
No.
about budget stuff, so.
Not much.
So what'd you come up with?
July off, maybe November off, and February. We can call a meeting if we need to.
Of course.
Yeah.
But the rough schedule seem okay?
Mhm.
I know it cuts you out of some minute taking, and that's a check, so.
I'm okay.
You're okay with
You're
that?
okay with it? Well, I did want to mention it in case you object, then we could refit this. All right, so please put that schedule in our minutes, so we have something to remember it by. Now, the last item in this reorganization is the clerk of the district, and I corrected the dates for board membership and the clerk's term of office, and unfortunately, the clerk was due for election this year, and it didn't get put into our warning, and I didn't notice it. So we put out a warning without a warning to include the clerk's election. And so it didn't happen at the annual meeting. However, I believe that it's quite within our purview to appoint the clerk for a year, so that we have one.
I believe that's correct, because it's
Yeah,
what the,
well, it's, I looked
seen
up
this
the
before.
statute.
when they organized the New Union Elementary District, they appointed the clerk.
Right. 491 is about election and notice to clerk, and it says, it describes if a clerk is elected or appointed. So it's quite possible that we could do that.
As long as our charter doesn't speak specifically. to that.
Yeah, I don't think the charter does.
So I would make a motion to appoint Lori for a one-year term as clerk of the North Bennington Grade School District. And then next year
We'll just re-elect
On
her.
the election.
Put her on the ballot.
I'll second that.
So say we all?
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you if you were willing
No,
to
you
serve.
didn't.
I
I
think you are.
noticed
Yeah, it was just an assumption, wasn't it?
Okay, there's one other item under reorganization that doesn't really apply too much to North Bennington, but it's something that all the boards do at reorganization meetings.
Yeah, we just did that we just dumped it into
You did
the
do that as
authorized
part of-
chair and vice chair.
Okay. If you want to copy.
I didn't
That'd be
didn't
great.
follow
Thank
your
you.
language, but
Yeah.
that's what I intended, pretty much. Okay, no public to have comments from. Does anybody want to discuss the election results? Let's see. I have
The only thing
numbers
I'd
right
like
here.
to say is that it was an incredibly busy day.
Mm.
It was not, I brought a book and I didn't read one page, because it was constant. It was very, very
Right.
busy.
Good voter turnout.
Excellent voter turnout, so.
Yeah, we had, it looks like we had the maximum vote. What's that, 47, 447. That, they voted on Article C. That was the vote on Article C. But actually, no, the top is, I had 350 votes.
Right, we had
Oh,
many
no,
more,
that's 350. This is
Right.
450.
many more people
Yeah.
than that, because some people who did come in
They
to
just
vote did not want to
residential.
vote for the school because they didn't know enough about it,
Oh.
but they wanted to do the primary. So
Yes.
it was an incredibly busy day.
Yeah. Right. It was quite a zoo because you had votes for us, for Mount Anthony,
Mhm.
and then
Right.
for town offices,
And then the
Bennington
primary was
town
a separate thing, so.
Um,
primary.
Did we have,
won.
like other places experience, Lori, higher than
Oh,
normal
that's for two.
absentee
It's
ballots?
two.
That's a good point. We did. And I have never received as many absentee ballot requests or, and they all came back.
Huh,
So that's not always the case. Often people will request one and then I just don't
Yeah.
get it back.
Yeah.
I think it's a hassle for people to go out and vote now, for many people.
well, that's good to know because both Mark and I requested absentee ballots from the town of Bennington. I received mine and Mark's never showed up in the mail and they mailed it on the same day. So one just simply went missing. So I'm glad that you got all the
I
ones
got
back.
all of mine back.
Good.
So what happens in that case?
Well, we had gone out of town, so it was just too late,
Okay.
but at least one of us counted.
Right.
You know the
And I
results?
received
You know
both
the
of
Yes.
yours, so,
Kenny,
Isn't that odd?
yeah.
that's what's on the website.
Yeah, that's, I thought, I wouldn't have bet the money.
Right. I looked it up because I didn't see it reported in the paper.
We got, the results came in, we didn't know the results of the budget vote until the next morning because we had Bennington, but we didn't, but for the Union Elementary District,
You had all the outlying towns.
Yeah. so it was a little different this year.
It's worth noting that the budget was voted 3-1 virtually in favor, and a little more than that for the tuition. It's been better than that in the past, but it's still pretty
And it was high turnout.
good. Right.
And
Correct.
a lot of absentees. How
And a
many
lot of
absentees were
absentees. I had ordered 75 and I had to get into the regular ballots at 100. That's a lot for us.
there? Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I kept buying stamps. Because it takes a lot of stamps because everything's heavy now and it's expensive and.
Well, at my discretion, I purchased pastries and coffee for the vote, and that turned out to be well appreciated.
It was very much appreciated.
There were like 80 pieces or so pastry,
Yeah, they were gone.
and there were like two croissants left when I got there, and just before 7.
And you dispatched them readily.
I took them home and I had them for a sandwich the next day. So that was appreciated, and it wasn't, it was more than Dunkin' Donuts, but it was not too expensive. But since we don't seem to have anybody who's willing to, at the club that's willing to go beat up on businesses to get some free goodies, seems like a good expenditure. Anyway, so we're to finance. If no one has anything else to offer on the election. Yeah, well, yeah, okay, so we did introduce him, but we'll introduce him again. This is Kiernan McNamara, who's our new board member for 2 years.
I just don't think that you were here, Jim. That's
No,
why I
I
want
was-
to make
yeah,
it. This
right.
is Jim Cole,
Breaking
superintendent.
superintendent schools.
Nice to meet you.
How many
And,
kids do you have here?
3.
3 kids right now? Thanks for stepping up.
Yeah, we're thankful you did step up. I appreciate it. And Tim Schrader, who occupied that position, was kind of happy to leave because he's trying to do some real serious work of his own. So he's trying to get himself together for a trip to.
Next year he's
Next
on
year?
a sabbatical again. By the way, did anybody feel the earthquake today?
No.
Heard about it.
He posted that it was the first time that he's been able to report I felt it,
Yeah.
he's a geologist at the
Yeah, so
college,
it's interesting.
And there were four reports from North Bennington. I didn't feel it.
I didn't feel it either.
It's like a
I
3 point
felt
something.
one oh, 30-plus years ago, when I lived out by Glansburg's. It was like a train. That felt like a train rumbling down the tracks. This was, I don't know what that would be in terms of order of magnitude.
And so far away.
I've been in them in California, and it's unsettling, to say the least, when things start falling all out of your kitchen cupboards.
Yeah, I don't think that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, treasurer's report.
Well, we are now caught up on our lease payments from the village school. Our cash balances are certainly sufficient. And according to the, oops, let me find it. We should end up with a fund balance, with the exception of one overage that I know you're going to be talking about there, but there are some other things that look like they're going to be under. And I have matched everything to the budget status report. It matches what I know I have received, deposited, paid, etc. So that's good there. I will mention that in January, I sent out registered letters to all delinquent taxpayers, notifying them that they have a right to see whether they qualify for an abatement hearing. I'm not certain we had anybody that did, but it's not for me to make that judgment for them. Of the 6 that were sent out, 2 were refused to be picked up. One has never come back, and one was picked up and paid, and the other one was picked up and will be paid. So no one has elected to submit for an abatement hearing, which is in February.
Yes.
So February has come and gone, and no one has elected to do so.
Well, and you collected that was the 10,587?
Yes, and there's another 3,000 that went in today,
Okay.
and so there's a handful left.
And are those from this year's?
We
year?
only, all from this year. There is one from a prior year, and that is a few $100s, but it's going to be a long-term thing
Right.
to get.
So most of this will end up decreasing the general state aid.
Yeah, and most of what is outstanding, I think, will be in this fiscal year.
Great. All right, so interim financing for FY21, you'll be working on that when June or
Yes.
so. You'll develop your cash flow and
Soon
figure it out.
soon as we finish up May, and then we begin to
Right.
get into June. I'll do an estimate, and then I do a final when we see the June expenses.
Okay. D, the review of the FY19 audit, we don't have.
So I do have the draft. It came to us. So we received this March 6th, and I had to sign the acceptance and returned it March 9th. So I have hard copies for you. It's only a draft. There's no management letter, but it's something that you can review. We anticipate that we will have the final soon, and with that, the management letter. So,
Actually, you could take that.
and if you prefer it electronically, we can send that to you, but if you want to wait for the electronic version till we have the final.
Is the management letter for the SVSU or is it for us?
Don't they typically give us for each one?
I thought so,
Yeah.
but I was looking for this and I looked at 18 and there was a management letter for the SU about just matters
All
about
practices,
various
yeah.
practices. Right.
And that may be the case too. So I as I said, we just received this. I have the signing assurances, send it back, so it's only in draft form. Typically, it doesn't change between drafting
Right.
this and really what we eagerly await is the management audit. See where the recommendations are.
Yeah, because the rest of it, much of the rest of this is actually supplied by the financial office.
Right, there's a lot of boilerplate language in that.
That's right. And I don't think we're going to review this today because
Yeah, just,
but thank you for bringing it.
Yeah.
When I asked Karen, she said, well, we don't have it, they don't have it down there, and
yeah.
they weren't gonna put it on there. Now, there's one matter that we need to briefly discuss, and Alice from Alice Perry, right? From the financial offices was asking me how we wanted, we have, we had an increase in students this year over what we budgeted for. And so we end up exceeding the budget for I think it's both the Southwest Unified District and for Southshire, I believe. We exceeded their budgets a little bit because we didn't have that many students in the budget. So even we end up overspending the tuition budget by the end of the year. And so we need to authorize transfer of other line items into the tuition budget. Alice had some suggestions, but I'd just as soon keep it to taking it out of the board's contingency fund, because that's why we set the contingency fund up, to cover these unknown students who arrive on our doorstep. And I don't remember the amount of it.
Here.
It's $58,980.
Yep. No, well, yes, that's the total, but actually the net amount is 28,7.
No,
26.
26,788.
Yes. That is if you move
Money around in the tuition.
between the tuitions.
Which
yes. You're fine with doing that?
I'm fine
Okay.
with doing that. So I think if we just authorize to cover the overspending by moving available balance from account number 5562, which is the tuition account, within that account to cover the overspending with, she's crediting that to do to the Southwest Union Elementary District. And then we'll add 26,788 from the board's contingency fund to cover the balance of the overrun.
So,
And we need, is that the consensus of the board?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
I was confused at how that, wasn't this also an issue of the state coming back with the change in what the state averages?
That's a different issue.
Okay, thank you.
But there
This is
was
just more
a
students than planned.
change in the rate of the students at Southwest Vermont
A significant change.
ESD for last year, so that's another reason why it occurred. And there were also more students, because we had 5 or 6 students the previous year, and we ended up with 11 this current year.
Because I think this wasn't this that what you're saying was 12,
8.
and then it moved to 14. Yeah.
And that's a different issue. That's the problem in FY21's budget.
Okay.
That was bequeathed by an incorrect enter.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay.
The entry was
okay,
there, it was
okay.
wrong from the get-go. It
Right.
wasn't the state reevaluating
No.
the average tuition.
No. The entry for the average tuition, which would have been an estimate at that point in time, was incorrect, and by a lot. So let's go to the consent agenda. That does finance. Consent agenda, which is minutes. For last month's meeting. Regular meeting February 12th, 2020, and the annual school meeting from February 29th, 2020.
But you wouldn't be
We
accepting
don't
those.
accept those now, we do those the following year.
Those
Yeah,
aren't for you
that's
to
right.
accept.
They have to be accepted by the public
Correct.
at the meeting. So
They
all
won't-
we're doing is noting that they're available. So we'll take those out of this consent agenda. And we'll approve the February 12th minutes and the warrants.
Warrant of 218,616.75.
Yep.
Make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions about the warrant in particular? All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So, policies. I'll let Matt handle the policies. He seems to like it.
Well, I didn't, okay, I gotta clean them up.
You're voting to adopt them, so.
They're all adoptions.
We're still warning them
Yeah.
all, yeah.
We approved the we approved the warnings last month.
There's always two.
Oops, I forgot to sign.
Policy 50/50, or 5,050, discipline of pupils, suspension and expulsion of pupils. I think we could do these all together, unless somebody has anything about them that,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think we have much to say about any of this anyway. Policy 5065, verbal physical assault of an employee. And policy 5400, student safety. Make a motion to adopt all three of those.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye for me as well, so seeing no dissension, stop there. Superintendent,
Evening.
evening.
One thing you should be aware of, and I want to be aware of, is the Southwest Vermont Union Elementary School District Board voted last night, but it's been in discussion to offer school choice at its 6 elementary schools. So where that may impact North Bennington is those seats in Shaftesbury are available to students from Woodford, Pownell, in Bennington. And still from North Bennington, but there'll be a lottery for seats. So at this time, I don't know how popular that is going to prove to be. It was voted at last night's meeting. I already received one email this morning for somebody, so there is it will go up on our website, the application form and the criteria for how it be selected. The dates will be shuffled a little bit this year because it's the first year. Applications will, going forward, have to be submitted by May 1st, but we're going to, by March 1st, but we'll extend that deadline. Every May 1st, the administration will determine how many seats are available by grade at each school. And if there's more applicants than seats available, there'll be a lottery. And there'll be a priority given to anybody going forward to siblings of students that go there. And it will be considered their home school for as long as they want to be there. So in other words, they don't have to apply every year, so once you're accepted. So that is a significant change.
Sure
It's
is.
something that the board wanted. I think it,
Very positive one.
very positive, yeah.
How-
I have one question about that. Will the students that we have from this district that are currently there, they'll be served under that
Yes, they
policy
will.
as well?
Yeah.
But I mean, they'll continue their access?
So if they're there, they have that access,
Right.
and if, like, I think I heard that there's 3 applications into Shaftesbury Elementary School before this happened, so those will be processed, and then going forward, so once those seats are filled first then they're open to anybody, so. And it goes with, the other part that goes with that is, and I think you already know this, that Woodford and, before the merger, Woodford and Shaftesbury accepted tuition students. Now, the board voted that all schools in the Union Elementary District will accept tuition students.
But if you still live within that geographical area, you get your first, if I lived in Shaftesbury, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And I would think that, is it calling it a tuitioning since it's all in the same district?
No,
So in fact,
it's called intra-school choice.
so students that from here going forward, who might want to go to Shaftesbury, for instance, would have secondary, would be secondary, I would think, to the standard
I would think so,
lottery.
yes. And we may have to play with we set the dates. May 1st, we determine what seats are available. June 1st is the lottery if needed. And then there'd be a secondary lottery in August, because like 2 weeks prior to school begins, because not everybody who says they're gonna come comes, so.
Yeah.
So,
And so, after years and years of begging these districts to allow children to come here, is that not a policy we could adopt as well? And accept state average, but not us, our district, and then the village school could do the same thing? Whereas
Yeah,
before,
we could do that.
but I guess the district wouldn't necessarily
Like,
pay
right
it.
there,
Right, wouldn't pay it.
they're
probably
They
wouldn't pay it, no.
So then I
So it's kind of
Because
useless.
they can now, if they pay.
But I did want to let you know, because I don't know yearly how many you may send to Shaftesbury, but there potentially could be fewer seats, but seats at other schools too.
Right.
depending on, As I said, I have no gauge on
Right.
how this will be, how popular.
Seems like they have a pretty good capacity.
The request today was for Woodford Elementary School, which, I could see where someone would find, we have
Absolutely.
18 students there right now, and determining what the capacity of that school is, I've heard all kinds of numbers. 32 seems to be the accepted number right now. The education quality standards in Vermont say 20 or less kindergarten through grade 2, 25 or less per grade 3 through 6. Don't know if we'll go that high, but that could change, and we're trying to balance the school district too. So, 'cause we are having issues at Monument Elementary School with kindergarten numbers being exceeding not capacity. I heard last night 33 applications, 33 incoming kindergartners, and there's 1 kindergarten class there, so that's not going to fly. No.
Then I was understanding that, so people who would be in Monument School District now can't go to Monument School District at this time because, and they were placed somewhere else that they
So the board hasn't
weren't
decided
happy about.
who they're going to, where they're going to shift the tuition
Sure.
zone yet. And it's not going to be a popular thing to do.
No, not at all.
No. And I understand that maybe 10 or 12 years ago, this happened before. They had to rebalance
They
the
did,
districts,
yeah.
yeah.
It
They're
wasn't
also-
popular then
Yeah,
either.
they're also looking at the possibility of a portable classroom in place at Monument Elementary.
Yeah.
But, that, we got to go through zones. We do have pricing.
Oh,
So
sure.
we have a plan, an engineer, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Now we have to begin the process to see if the village of Old Bennington would approve placing it there.
Sure.
And the plan would be not to put a classroom there, because I don't want to isolate a teacher or a class, but
Right.
we would move the library to the portable classroom
Mhm.
and convert the library into the additional classroom.
There's a lot of kindergartners that's coming in.
Yeah, and they currently have 2 first grades, so
Right,
I
so-
think that full classroom might only, push it off a year, because
Right.
if this is the trend that we're seeing, that they needed they have enough physical space to do a double in only 1 grade level.
Mhm.
So this year, there's 2 first grades.
Right.
And a kindergarten class, their current kindergarten class has 24 students in it, which is
It's a lot.
too big, yeah. So you give them a para now, it's
Yeah.
too big.
So they have to reevaluate the sub-districts within the district, right?
Right.
The boundaries of a given school.
Right. All we can do right now under the merger is the Bennington schools, because they all already had that attendance zones. We can't change boundaries between Pownell and Shaftesbury for 2 years under the default agreement of
I
the
see.
merger.
So you could move the Shaftesbury's district south to accompany some of...
A year from
A
now.
year
So if the
from now.
portable classroom gave us a year or 2, and it looks like kindergarten numbers were still going, we could say, like, all right, what's in the Monument District that is far enough south that maybe we could move the attendance zone that they go to Pownell, or consequently, what's, up here that could go to Molly Star.
Too bad they couldn't rewrite the North Star for and there, as it reaches way out. Oh, also...
And it also would give us time, I mean, there are so many things up for discussion, and I'm very excited that they agreed to do school choice, because there's a lot of positive things that could happen from that. And it also, one of the things I keep saying is, it's time to look at, do we run all 6 elementary schools the same way? Should one be a primary center that is, pre-K through grade 2, or pre-K through 1, and you balance it that way, but not the same grade alignment in every school. I mean, that could be a transportation killer, which I should
Yeah,
mention about.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
the transportation of
On
this.
school choice, the transportation is on the parents.
On the
Right, on
So-
your own.
So there is an equity piece in that, because that means that, it might not be available to everybody. But we also think, I don't know, you're working down in Williamstown, and you live in Shaftesbury, sending your child to Pownell might be an attraction, because you're driving by and you're that much closer to them, so I think it's a positive.
People look
Yeah.
good to where their work is.
Not so positive is teacher negotiations. I know that you have little, but your special education employees are that. So we had mediation last week, and it was not successful. So now we'll be going to a process called fact-finding. If we can agree on a fact-finder, that's the first process is time. The Teachers Association selects a fact-finder, we select a fact-finder, and we try to find one that we both can agree on. Both sides pretty much rejected each other's suggestions so far, and so maybe we can find a neutral. Fact-finder availability is at least a month or a month and a half out. So it could be May before fact-finding, and then and it's like a hearing, and the fact-finder looks at other things, like, what's the average raise that, is in the community and surrounding communities and things like that. We have 30 days after the actual date of fact-finding to submit written briefs, and then the fact-finder has 30 days after that to submit a finding. And by the way, the finding is not binding. So it's the Vermont law process that then leads to
Finding arbitration.
Imposed contracts and potential teacher strikes. And that's what happened 9 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So I don't think we will have.
We aren't eager for that.
I think the results from fact finding will be this summer. So I think it's a real possibility we're going to be beginning the school year without a contract. The support staff, we're still negotiating with them. We haven't gone to the route to mediation yet. Update on the COVID-19 virus. We follow daily information from Vermont Board of Health and the Vermont Agency of Education. The Board of Health is, really asking us to avoid third-party information. There's so much out there, and only take our advisories from the Vermont Board of Health is what we're doing. State of emergency in Massachusetts, New York, Connecticut. Who knows, what's coming here. As far as our schools, we've canceled the international trip, April school vacation. That was kind of a no-brainer. They were going to Italy, Spain, and France.
Yeah, no, I
So, the students will receive a voucher from the tour operator that's good for another trip. It impacts seniors more than anybody. We met with the principals 2 days ago to create a master list of all field trips, school events, competitions that are upcoming. And then the next step is what are the cancellation deadlines for these events without penalties. So I want life to go on as much as possible. Mindful of, for some students, this is their senior year and it's a major experience, or you're competing in a competition and this is your last time to do it, and the superintendent's going to say you can't go. So the next is out-of-state travel.
But excuse me, but isn't the impetus taken off of you because you said you'll be using the guidelines given to you?
They're not
by
giving
the-
us any guidelines on that, and I have deadlines coming up. The guidelines we have from them right now, there's no restriction on domestic travel.
But at any time, couldn't the state?
Yes, they could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They could, but they haven't so
Okay.
far. I have deadlines for say the wrestling team is going to the national competition in Virginia Beach at the end of this month.
Okay.
And their deadline to not lose money is next Thursday. So if we haven't heard from the state by that date, I'm probably going to tell them that they can't go. Cannot go.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it now, as long as we can still cancel without
Mhm.
penalty. A lot of competitions are self-canceling and taking them, obviously. The New England Choral competition was supposed to be this weekend in Hanover, New Hampshire. That's been canceled. The New England dance competition was in Connecticut this weekend. That's been canceled. And we had so many trips to colleges who are now closing their campuses and job fairs. Like we had a group going to Dartmouth, we had a group going to UVM.
Right.
Their campuses are now shut
And
down.
ideally, I hope that's how it happens for you.
Yeah.
That it doesn't fall on you, that it's made by,
Right.
Yeah.
health
You've got
officials
someone to
and-
point to.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but by having that, and then we also, we met with the technology staff today to look at, if we have to, what is our capacity for remote learning?
Mhm.
And we may have enough devices, but do we have a way of getting them to them? And again, the equity piece, not everybody has internet access at home, or if they do, it might only be on their parent's cell phone. So, we're trying to be as prepared for that. Schools are getting extra cleanings, wall supplies last. We have some good supplies on hand, but particularly small bottles of hand sanitizer and all that are all on back order. Hard surfaces, doorknobs, sink faucets, all following the CDC guidelines for cleaning, and encouraging people who aren't feeling well to stay home.
Mhm.
And that's what we're doing there.
And is there paid leave if you are asked to stay
So
home? Or?
if we did meet, remember we have unionized workers, right? So
Mhm,
we
mhm.
met with the union this week, and they have sick leave available, and they also have a sick leave bank that they can access.
Mhm.
And then if there's someone that for some reason is not eligible for that, then we'll consider that on a case-by-case basis. And we'll also see with the federal government, they seem to be making some noise
Mm-hmm.
about this, so we'll wait to see. Same thing, I'd rather have the authority coming from someone else.
Right.
Other than that, congratulations for
Yeah, thank
being on
you.
board.
And I am curious on how you are going to handle your positive lead tests. Do you have a plan in place?
Yeah,
or-
so we're aggressively changing faucets.
And so
And
the
there's-
hardware of the
Right, there's
faucets.
signage up at every faucet that failed, there's signage up that, you can't drink there. My
Why do you know
understand-
it's the faucet?
Well, that's, my background would tell me, suspect otherwise.
Yeah.
The majority of the failures were all on first flush, which to me would indicate it very well could be the faucet. All but a few passed after, when we did the second run. So as we replace faucets, and then we have to do a second round of tests, and hopefully that we'll see that improves. My understanding, and I don't know if this is accurate, Ray, that lead wasn't banned in faucets until after it was banned from solder. That's right. Yeah. So it's.
So
In fact, it still
what
exists
date
in
is
some-
that?
Yeah.
When was it banned in solder?
I think in the late 70s.
All right.
81.
So, but you would think faucets that were put in the 90s would be,
Yeah, I don't know when I just know that it was a later date, and
Yeah, right.
a considerable later date.
Yeah.
So the seats in the faucet can contain lead.
Yeah.
And that was how it's explained to me and why, good
It's
practice.
actually 86,
Yeah,
86?
the solder.
So the
Yeah.
first step will be faucets, retest, and then
Mhm.
take it from there.
right. So there's signage up right now, do not drink,
Mhm.
hands wash only.
Yeah.
So we get to wash the virus off with lead-laced water.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Right,
really
the
help.
germicide.
So, maintenance staff are replacing. There is a payback from the state, that they have a itemized chart of what a faucet, bathroom faucet's worth, the sink of water bubble is worth, and all that. It's not a lot, it won't cover labor, but there is some
Oh.
reimbursement rate for that.
Would you expect that if your faucets are all the same and from the same era and most passed, it would be a faucet issue? I'm thinking it's pipe myself.
Well,
Lead solder in the pipelines.
that is always
And
a
it's sitting.
concern, that it's, it all depends how quickly in the first, we'll know,
Yeah, right.
we'll
And how
know.
much, in that second, in that first draw, when you just go in and you turn how much volume of water do you take? Do you know anything about
No.
what they take?
No, I mean, they sent us the sample kits.
It's
6
not a large
ounces, not a
volume,
lot,
so
no.
because they would, shipping
Yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah. First
Yeah.
draw, I think it was a very small bottle.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for your
Yeah, thanks.
information. And, you have,
I'm gonna pass this around, this is the information we have for all your contact, we ask you to do this every year.
yeah,
Make sure we have the right phone number.
right. We have 4 situations here in this building, and they're all sort of in a line at the end of this building.
That would then suggest.
A line.
Yeah.
Although
Uh,
one of them was very high at first draw, the rest were barely threshold.
Where was
at
it in the
first draw.
line? Do you know?
Well, I don't know how the lines are, because these are lines that are sitting in the space between this floor and the gym ceiling.
Okay, so we don't really
We
know
don't,
yet
don't really know.
which way it's
But
coming.
And the other thing is the boys' bathroom, those are new faucets.
the boys' bathroom, those faucets could not be the issue.
Yeah.
No, because you just renovated.
And
Right.
the other sinks around here have the same faucets that these sinks have, so
Yeah.
it just seems hardly likely.
Thank you.
The reimbursement program from the state does not address lines.
Oh, of course not.
Fixtures did not have to, fixtures could still have up to 8% lead by weight until 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because brass has a lot of lead, you know.
Yeah, well, brass has lead in it,
Yeah.
yes. That's mostly machinability. I'm good, I think. Yep. Yeah, so, anyway. So, move on here to my part of this chair's report. This first item, adjust the final lease payment, that's just a note. The adjustment was according to our little addendum on the lease, and so we used the final number for the village school, 107.5. Subtracted that from 110, and that 2.5 times 79.50, which is a half a tuition, deducted that 19,875 from the total of the lease, and then deducted the payments that had already been made, so we come up with $20,021 for the final payment. I didn't do this calculation, although I checked it, I verified it. Jim Kosis did it. Seems correct to me. That's what we're going on. B, the mistake in the 21 budget. Well, I sent you access to the final version of the budget in Sheets, or Google Sheets, I suppose. And if you looked at it, the students for Southshire in that budget were, if you look at the little triangular bit, it'll give you the number and the rate. And the rate that was plugged in and given to us was, ends up being over $2,000 lower than the actual rate a piece. So we have we start the year with knowing that that budget is going to be overdrawn by most likely $27,000 because of that error. And I would, it's the finance office's mistake, but I should have challenged it. I know that. I looked at it and I thought, seems low to me, and I didn't challenge it. I challenged a lot of things, but I didn't challenge that, and I should have challenged it. I'm sorry I didn't. But I expect that they give me figures that work, that are correct. I didn't get them in that particular case. And the last part is just kind of freehand, really. Should talk about what we're going to try to accomplish this year, and this doesn't have to be a summative discussion. I'm just, basically we do facility and we do non-facility issues, and the facility stuff. We have a facility, I'm talking mostly to Kieran because he doesn't know this. We have a facility committee, which is Matt, Kim, and myself. And we actually don't care if anyone else joins it it's just, that's the way it's sugared out. We were the most interested. If you have an interest in that, we can fold you into it. So we go through elements that are part of what we consider to be building structure. Structural elements are infrastructure that has to be there for its function as a school. And we've done a number of things. So the bathrooms up here were redone as part of our efforts as a facility committee. And we have a list, which my list is incomplete. And there's also a list from Tim, which has a lot of items that were done on it, but it still has other things.
We've done a lot of this.
Yeah. Roof bits,
Tree
we don't
work
have roof.
is in the process.
Yes.
Water lead abatement in the process.
Yeah.
Communication is happening, right?
Did I didn't actually send
You
this
did
to you.
send it.
I did send it?
You did.
Okay.
I don't know if it was, is that updated one? I think.
This is my personal list.
Yeah, you sent one, it might not be.
And then I sent the
exactly.
one that was
Yeah.
from,
Yeah.
that you had
Yep.
gotten from Tim. So, I can just send you this right now.
So just to speak on the roof thing, I tried again today. I tried at least twice to get, for this guy Matt to get back to me from Carruthers. I explained to him today in my message that, we really are wanting to do this, and we're getting closer to where we're going to be asking SVSU to help us with bid, establishing a bid process.
Right.
And but that he might benefit from actually seeing the roof. And I sent him the video, so he's seen what it looks like. That's when he said, yeah, we would be interested in looking at it. They don't go out on the roof much in the winter, but there's been many opportunities. They could, but I'm sure they're busy. So I'll try him again tomorrow, and hopefully get him over here just to, he can't just, he's got to go to bed. We got to go through the formal bidding process.
Yep.
Which means we need to also ask that other. Pinnacle.
Right.
Did they suggest they were interested when they were here to look at the other issue?
I
I
don't know.
I don't know. We can ask Rachel.
Because I know she was.
Yeah, she was the one
Yeah.
person.
And then we should probably talk to, to get a third bid, one of the other local companies. Either Doxy or Vermont.
Jim, if you don't want to stay for this, you don't have to.
It's fascinating.
Someone might agree. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
I have to stop
Informative.
by tomorrow.
So you don't want me to take you? Okay, that's
I
fine.
can drop them off. I
All right.
gotta take some other stuff over anyway.
Very good. Thank you.
So I don't know whether Cart and the horse, I guess letting these three entities know that if they would want to come and take an informal look and then decide whether they want to be a part of the formal bid. I mean, I don't know if there's any engineering involved with any of this. It's been done. I suspect questions will be whether the underlayment are appropriate as exist. When I was looking at the different prices, there's the options of just a backing,
Yeah.
half inch, 1 inch, and then various foam products in the 1 inch and 2 inch. and
Or
3 inch for
additional
insulation. But, we've had that, when we talk about getting an energy audit, but when we had that whole stuff done, I don't know that it makes sense to drastically increase our insulated costs above where we did all the work.
Right, and it's above a sealed off attic.
Exactly. You almost don't want insulation in those
I think you want to leave it cool.
Yeah. So, I was looking at just rough $1.50 per square foot.
Yeah.
That's
Well, if it's
just way rough.
40,000 square feet.
60,000, and that, whether that's all materials and labor or whatever. But we anticipated it would be at least that.
Yeah. And we have the money.
Yeah. So that's one I'll keep working on, and more rapidly here as I don't know, who said, how do we get this, the SU engaged in this?
I talked to Renee, or one of us talks to Renee. And we
Even if they're not
started.
interested, if we could get them to give us a bid. not so informally.
And-
That would help us expedite this process.
Right.
Yeah.
To not really, could just say, could you please give us?
You know, there could be,
Well, I think what we have to go through a bid process. So
Mhm.
what we could do is try to ensure that these guys are gonna put in a bid. You know,
Mhm,
that
mhm,
we'll send them the documents and they will give us a bid.
it might be better to go for 4 or 5.
Yeah,
And that-
yeah.
And if 3 show up, hopefully 3 will put in a bid. But actually, I'm not sure about this requirement, but I think if you make the due diligence to get people to bid, it doesn't mean you're gonna get 3 bids.
Right,
No.
and I think it's due diligence
Right.
in an ad or something like that. If
You have to
It's gotta be a
advertise
it's
under
gotta
the
be a
Yeah,
process.
right, but
Yeah.
advertised, and yeah.
Yeah. And they'll
Solicitation.
advertise somewhat widely.
Mhm.
And, you know, this roof, given that it's lasted as long as it has and looks as good as it does, that was a company up in Rutland. I don't know who it was. I don't
So I
know if I
wonder
can
if it
find it in
would-
the documents.
Help us to ask them, to ask Renee or whomever, to just go ahead and place that ad or do that component of it while we're doing our work, so that that's covered at the same time.
Well, maybe I should talk to her about doing this process and we'll see what
she
we
go-
can
I
do
think, yeah, because that will
beforehand.
just help expedite if we
Yeah.
want to get it done this summer, so
Okay.
that that's not our rate limiting factor.
Right. In some ways, you might get people coming out of the woodwork with bids, and that's fine. But then targeting the few that we say, hey, this is already happening.
And that would be a great
The
problem.
bid's been noticed,
Yeah.
been made notice of, so
Yeah.
get over here. That might push them to.
Yeah,
Or say, well, you know, if there's significant economic impacts of some of this stuff going on, that it's gonna reverberate down the chain, and I suspect there might be, for these commercial kinds of projects, some delays and how, you know, some others people might be looking for.
Mhm. We also were talking about putting solar on the roof after it's done. And I had a comment from BEMA that next year, I don't know whether he meant this summer or the following summer. Would be done.
Well,
We could talk about
there's
that.
incentives that are disappearing in contracts that
Yeah.
need to be signed,
Set up.
even if the work isn't done
Right.
in the future. So I think that's something else we need to do is talk to FEMA.
Right.
I do know there are tax incentives ending at the end of this year, and they start decreasing
Yeah.
over the next
Again.
few years,
Right.
percentage-wise. There's
Right.
40 or 50%. It goes down drastically over the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
It has less implications on a municipal, you know, in terms of the tax. It's a great incentive for the homeowners, but I don't know how much it.
I mean, I didn't
But there
look
could,
into-
there could be also some other that FEMA would know of, some
he's-
other industry type rebates.
Yep.
He's very knowledgeable on those,
No, we should
Which
get
are-
it on that.
separate from tax.
So, as Matt said, we've got tree work. I ran into Ron earlier this week, and he said after sugaring. I don't know precisely when that will be.
April break is when.
April break,
We're gonna
That'd be good.
try to do it.
John's class is sugaring right now. They're collecting sap, although they're almost done with that. We bored taps in both of those 2 trees that can be taken down. I helped this year because Pete wasn't here, unfortunately. The lead abatement, we've talked about it in water. The lead abatement on paint is another
Well,
issue. That's our exterior cornice work issue. And we want someone to bid on that.
We're gonna ask the roofing people to.
Yeah, maybe
see
the
if
roofing
they have a
people.
solution, whether it's wrapping in aluminum.
Yeah. Wrapping with metal would be
Yeah,
fine.
aluminum.
Yep. Because that way that you encapsulate it and you eliminate your painting issue for a while. Communication system upgrade. Tim has a grant for that, right?
Mhm, they're
Mostly.
working on that right
Yep,
now.
Yep. They just tested not the, being able to broadcast on the system from any of the phones the other day, PA. Security upgrades, same issue really. Review cost allocation, that's my discussion with the rest of the facilities committee about, I think we ought to review all these decisions over the past 2 years and just make sure if we aren't consistent in one area, that we get consistent. So I don't
You
have
mean
to.
with respect to cost sharing or who's responsible?
Yeah, right. What constitutes an element that we could call ours under the lease? Refinished floors. Actually, floors are getting thin in top coat, and you want to do it before they're worn out. Then you have to do more work. I talked to the person who does the second floor maintenance stuff or cleaning stuff. He's done floors. He's putting together a bid for the hallways, which actually may be fairly inexpensive.
Well, that's, so every year Tom did that, would screen them and then lay down a coat.
Tom?
Martin. and
Well,
then
he
pay-
didn't screen them.
Well, he did
But,
not
yeah,
personally.
right.
Point is that should be still continuing, and that was a school expense. We didn't pay for that. That was a wear and tear.
Well, it's not going to happen if it's that way, because he had talked to Tim about it.
Well, we need to talk to Tim about it. We're not gonna wait until we have to replace, I mean, that's the other option, is tear up. You can't sand these floors anymore,
No,
because there's
you can't.
nothing
You
left.
have to maintain them the way they are. And,
Or you replace them,
or you replace them, which that's not in the budget.
not right now.
And I don't know if it ever will be. So that's something we want to talk about. And he talked about they need a mop board, which I agree with, and I've done quarter round for about 100 feet of it that I just needs to be stained and finished, and I can do more.
Where?
For a quarter round at the base of the baseboard. They were removed and never replaced. Then I have like the warping around this water fountain out here by the library. It's pretty constant. The floors wave a little bit. I don't know. That's not a high priority. I know that. It's way down the
I would
list.
think some sort of waterproof laminate put
Yeah.
right around the base of that, that can just keep from getting floor wetting. Like a chair, like what you put
Yeah,
your
like a
chair
boot
on
bag
in
kind of
a,
thing, like
in
that,
a
yeah.
desk, office
Yeah.
desk. Or at the base of your sink where you wash your dishes.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We could talk about that. Rad covers for additional locations. I don't know about that. The ground floor bathrooms, they're currently old tile. And as you know, that ages by creating gaps and you get filling. But that's not a big priority either. It's just happens.
Let's spend the next few years focusing on our roof, our lead, our possible solar, and then refilling our budget for like the bathroom. It's good to
Well-
continue on around with those for sure.
We do have to do something with the elevator doors, folding doors, because they're,
The vinyls.
the, no.
Oh, you mean the metal ones?
No, the accordion part of it. The flexible part that holds the segments together needs to be dealt with. There is no, I don't think there's a way of getting a replacement
I don't know
for
what they
that.
look like. Is it the vinyl
It's
panels
just-
that do this?
Oh,
it's
they
that
just
thing.
fold up, it's an accordion. They fold back into, it has to be an accordion because to allow enough space to get in and get it out of the way. There's no pocket. So ideas on that would be helpful. Because it's gonna have to be done to get inspection for next year. Oh, gym floor needs re-epoxying, that could wait another year. Could use a little ventilation, that could wait for another year. The garage back here does need a roof, I believe.
Well, that could
LEDs
be a-
in here, maybe?
That could be a throw together with roof repairs.
Yep.
You know, the
Get
roofing
that
contractor send one of the
tossed in.
guys for one day on
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I guess it would have to be
LEDs,
in
it
there.
goes back to us talking to the Efficiency Vermont people and Dave Shaughnessy and helping, and, you know, whoever we, about, you know, there's always changes in incentives. We've
Right.
gone to T8s in all of the building. There's LEDs in some of our stuff.
Right.
Well, yeah, the bathrooms have LEDs.
What about those emergency lights down there? Didn't those get upgraded to LED?
I feel like
I
that's
think
right,
they
yeah,
did,
I think you're
yes.
right
The
about
ones
that.
that had the battery backup got
And with these
upgraded.
T8s, you'll find that rooms aren't using the light. I mean, you don't need,
Mhm,
it's like every other strip.
mhm.
I'd like to be able to turn off one strip in my room.
But you
When
can't right
But
now.
you can't.
When you turn on the lights in both sections of my room, they both come on,
Okay.
and then they both come on.
Well, that's,
Because they really bother me.
yeah,
I'd rather have
LED would be
lamps.
better. But again, that technology is so fast, they're getting, that in time, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And they're so many of those are so inexpensive.
Inexpensive, and they last for
Yeah,
so
yeah.
long. Okay. You know, there are other things, foyer seating. I don't know if that's ours really.
You mean, other than,
Yeah, those seats have pretty much collapsed in many cases.
are they like benches?
Yeah, the benches, yeah.
So I would think this, that the school might hire someone like that to build some nice new benches.
Okay, fine. Before I close my shop. Yeah. All right, so, you know, then non-facility items, that's most of what I had. And did you look up what Tim's list had?
It was, yeah, and a lot of it was outdated.
Oh, it's out, it's done.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of it's been
Yeah.
done.
Oh, I think you're talking about this email
Yeah.
tonight.
I mean, here are things that just cropped up in my head, which I didn't have much time with this. Issues with the SU, you know, assessments, lack of access to On Point, which I would trade against the assessment discussion I had with you. And, you know, I'm not real happy with these two mistakes. They shouldn't have happened. But I could have stopped them if I'd noticed.
Well, I remember us having a discussion about it, back when we thought that number looked old.
Yeah, we did.
And I think, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's water under the bridge, and
Yeah.
we just roll with it.
I wasn't the only one that thought this. The rest of it's just odds and ends about how this management goes on, which is, a lot of it's on me. Because I'm the interface.
I think Kim's needing to pay that. She got us some,
Gotta
Blame it
go?
on me. No, it's fine. Just carry on.
Yeah, well, we're done.
Okay, all right.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
Yeah, that's fine. With me? Okay? All right.